Hello everybody, we're back, and we're back on camera. And if you're watching this video the day it's being released, then the NFL season hasn't quite started. If you happen to be catching it a little bit late, that's okay too, because we're going to be getting in some fun NFL predictions for the 2025 season. Forgive me if I'm a little bit groggy, I've been traveling, I just got home technically very early this morning, but we're back, we're ready to go. The channel's raring, we're ready for 2025. Now, make no question about it, through and through, I am a 49er fan, but I'm repping somebody a little bit different today. This would be Walter Payton, number 34 of the Chicago Bears, one of my all-time favorites. I'm going to age myself a little bit here. I was able to catch the end of Sweetness's career. I wore 34 when I played, even though I was primarily a safety over a running back. That's my guy. So if you're a Niner fan and you're watching, don't worry. We're still repping the Niners 100 all the way through. So let's get some predictions in. What I wanted to do first was go through some of my old Super Bowl predictions, going back to my very young days. Now, I don't remember all of these precisely, so some of these I'm going off some kind of memory. There's one here, we're looking at them right now, where I have no clue who I picked. You can see I definitely picked the Niners a whole lot back in the day. Various different opponents, Dolphins, Browns. Can't remember who I picked them to beat in '89. Thought we were getting a rematch in 1990. All the way down the line. I ditched them for a little while there in 91 after we lost Ronnie Lott, my favorite 49er of all time. And in 92, I had a feeling about the Cowboys, which I turned out to be right. I didn't want to be, but here we were. By 99, I'd kind of jumped ship and I stopped picking them, except for that one season in '02 where I thought '01 was a bit of a breakthrough. Started getting some variety in these picks. You'll notice one thing, most of them are wrong. That's going to be the case as we flip over to the next 20 years as well. I did get the Eagles right in 2017. I'm pretty proud of that. I've liked being ahead of the game when it comes to the Eagles. In 2022, I had them losing the Super Bowl, which was correct. Of course, I had the wrong team in there beating them. 2020, didn't make a prediction that year. Just didn't think that was worth doing. The season was going to be weird, so I left it alone. And last season, I got tired of picking the Bills. I wasn't going to pick the Ravens. I wasn't going to pick the Chiefs. So I just picked the Lions to beat some AFC team. 2025, well, that's coming up now. What I'm going to do here first is just go through who I think is going to win every division, then go through the wild card teams, then go through the standings and start picking how the playoffs are going to go. No individual awards today. The NFL is a weird place. There's a random third string quarterback on some team right now who is more likely to win the MVP award than, say, Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. So we're leaving those alone. We'll let the sports writers handle all those. Let's start with the AFC East. There's no reason to pick anybody else to win this division but the Buffalo Bills. It's pretty straightforward. They've won it several years in a row. There's nobody who can challenge them. Let's get fun now with the AFC North. We're going to be picking the Pittsburgh Steelers. I understand that's not going to be a popular pick. If you came here for vanilla picks, you're not going to get them. I'm going to go off the wall on some of these, and we're going to do that right now as well in the AFC South, where I will be picking the Indianapolis Colts. There's one specific reason for this. I'm going to call it Daniel Snyder syndrome. You lose your owner, you get a new owner, things can turn around pretty quickly in year one, especially when the previous owner wasn't exactly beloved or well thought of. That said, rest in peace, Mr. Irsay. AFC West, going with somebody new this year, a team that was severely underrated last year, even though they made it to the playoffs. We're going with the Denver Broncos, finally breaking the streak of the Chiefs, who have won that division since before Patrick Mahomes was their quarterback, and they've done it in consecutive seasons. Switching now to the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East. I had this penciled in before they traded Micah Parsons away. Parsons is maybe the best defensive player in the league and maybe the best player in the entire league. If he's not number one, he's certainly in the top 4 or 5. They are going to miss him, but the NFC East famously hasn't had a repeat champion since the Eagles won a few in a row in 2004. When they didn't win it in '05, that started a trend of a new champion every year. I'm going to side with history on this one. The NFC North, I think I was going with this anyway, but now that they've got Micah Parsons, we're going with the Green Bay Packers. They have been the 7th seed the last 2 seasons, but they're ready to take that leap forward. We're getting only our second repeat winner here, the NFC South. We're going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just not high on any other team in this division. The South divisions generally, at least lately, haven't been so powerful, so Tampa to win it again. And in the NFC West, the most underrated team from last season, the best team in the league that didn't have a winning record, the Arizona Cardinals. We're picking them to take the division title. Let's go back to the AFC now, where we'll start running through the wildcard teams. They couldn't win the North in these predictions, but they're still going to be making the playoffs. We've got the Baltimore Ravens coming out of the AFC North, and also coming out of the AFC North will be the Cincinnati Bengals, a very popular bounce-back pick. And we're not trying to be dramatic. We're doing this alphabetically by team name, Baltimore, Cincinnati, taking that last spot, maybe not exactly in the standings, but here in our reveal will be the Kansas City Chiefs. Just like Baltimore, they failed to win their division, but they got enough of the goods to get into the playoffs. Let's now shift over to the NFC. The top 2 seeds in the playoffs last year for the NFC were left out of the division championships here. The Detroit Lions will be grabbing one of those playoff spots from the wildcard position, as will the reigning NFC and Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. This one we are being dramatic. We went out of order alphabetically here to make a shock pick. We're doing it just for the sake of it, because if we're right, we'll look like geniuses. Taking the last wildcard spot in the NFC will be the New Orleans Saints. Why? Because why not? No one's looking at them. Everyone thinks they're tanking. Everyone thinks they're going to be picking number 1 and getting Archie Manning's grandson in there. I do believe they can sneak in and take a wildcard spot. Would I put a lot of money on it? No, but that's the pick I'm going to be making. So we've got our 7 teams. Let's now look at the exact standings here and the seedings. Buffalo will finally break through and grab the number 1 seed in the AFC. The 2nd seed will go to the Denver Broncos. For them to take the division from Kansas City, you got to imagine they're going to win a few games, and that'll be enough for the number 2 seed. Pittsburgh will take the 3rd seed. Indianapolis, probably at 9-8, maybe even 8-9, will be taking the 4th seed, but that will get them a home playoff game. Kansas City will try to keep up with Denver, and in doing so, pick up enough wins to grab the 5th seed. And I got Cincinnati in the 6th and Baltimore sliding down to the 7th, but they still make it in, and they'll probably have a better record than the Colts. In the NFC, the Packers are my pick to have the best record in football this season. That might be 13-4, and that might tie them with someone else, or it just could be 14-3 where they stand alone. The number 2 seed will be Tampa. I do think they'll feast on their division, possibly even sweep it all the way through. They can go 500 the rest of the way and still grab that 2nd seed. The Cardinals for the 3rd seed and the Cowboys at the 4th seed. I do think maybe 10-7 will be enough to win the NFC East this year. Maybe they get it on a tiebreaker. You'll notice I'm not doing this record by record. I'm just picking places in the division to land these teams. In the wildcard positions, we got the Detroit Lions taking the top spot. Just like Kansas City, trying to keep up with Green Bay will get them several wins. I think they can be just as good as they were last year, but with fewer wins. The 6th seed, Philadelphia, they'll probably have a pretty decent record too. Like I said, I see them tying with Dallas, but possibly losing out on a tiebreaker. And I got New Orleans sliding into the 7th spot. I left the 49ers out. That's maybe kind of a reverse jinx I'm trying to put on my guys there, because when I pick them, they don't really do what I think they will. When I don't pick them, they surprise. So let's try the psychology here and pick against them. A quick rundown here on some of the teams I picked to not make the playoffs. The Commanders were certainly a great story last year. They snuck up on some teams. They played a pretty easy schedule. I can see them being just as good, but not so much in the record department. The Vikings, I think, are another one of those teams, as are the Rams. All these teams in the NFC. They all pretty much ranked high on the luck scale that we released last week. So I can see them dropping off, even though their quality themselves doesn't drop off too much. The Texans, I think they've kind of been living on borrowed time in the AFC South. The division's not going to be that much stronger, but I think a few of these teams, like the Jaguars or the Colts, can pick off one of those wins that they wouldn't have the last couple years. The Chargers, The defense is probably going to regress a little bit. The Raiders are a popular pick. I see them being at least a year away, especially in that division. All right, let's get straight into these playoff picks. And after making some pretty non-vanilla predictions coming in, these wildcard round games are pretty vanilla. Got Denver knocking off Baltimore. We've got Pittsburgh knocking off Cincinnati. Kansas City going on the road to beat Indianapolis in a game they would certainly be favored to win. Moving on to the divisional round now, I got the number 1 seeded Buffalo Bills going down. Once again, they cannot beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Kansas City pulls an upset. They would probably be underdogs in this scenario to go to the AFC Championship game where they will face the Denver Broncos, their AFC West rivals, after they defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think these two teams will split in the regular season. I think Denver wins in Kansas City. I think Kansas City wins in Denver. But come the AFC Championship game, the Denver Broncos hold serve at home and will be making it to Super Bowl 60. We're going to go over to the NFC to see who their opponents are going to be. The seedings here in the NFC are going to be exactly as they were in the AFC. 2/7, 3/6, 5/4. I think Tampa's going to beat New Orleans and maybe a surprisingly close game. I think the Cardinals are going to end it here for the Eagles. That Super Bowl championship will always live on in memory, but they won't be able to repeat. And the Lions will go to Dallas in a game, just like Kansas City versus Indianapolis, that they'll probably be favored to win, and they will get the job done. Moving on to the divisional round, we have both number 1 seeds going one and done. It's an unfortunate situation for Green Bay here, but Detroit will go into Lambeau and get the victory. The Cardinals will also go on the road and get the victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, giving us a very rare kind of pick here, the Cardinals and the Lions in the NFC Championship game. Neither of those teams have a big history of making it to this game, and now they're going to be going against each other, and the game will be in Arizona, where I think the Detroit Lions are going to complete a comeback arc. This reminds me a lot of the Denver Broncos from the late 1990s. They stormed into the playoffs in 1996, a heavy favorite, number 1 seed, only to lose at home to an upstart franchise who hadn't done anything in a while. In the case of the Jaguars, had never done anything because they were new. And last year, the Lions losing to the Commanders, who hadn't done anything in quite a while. It was the next season where they lost the division title, beat the division champion in the playoffs, and made a run to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm stealing from history here. I have Detroit getting to the Super Bowl that way, and wouldn't you know it, their opponents in that game are going to be the Denver Broncos. Super Bowl 60, Levi Stadium, Santa Clara, California, February something or other, I don't know the exact day, in 2026. Denver versus Detroit. I think the Lions are going to come out firing in this game. Take their opening drive right down the field, score on a short touchdown run by David Montgomery. They're going to get the ball back, get moving again. I somehow see Sam Laporta. He's going to catch a Super Bowl touchdown pass before he retires. It's just something I've always thought to be true from the moment I saw him play his first game. So he'll get it here. Detroit has a 14-0 first quarter lead. Denver starts making a comeback. They pull one back, and they get a field goal. But late on, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take a dump-off pass and run it all the way into the end zone, giving Detroit a 21-10 halftime lead. Denver would, in this scenario, get the ball first in the second half, and they're able to close the deal a little bit with a field goal, but Detroit fights right back with another Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown, giving them a 28-13 lead heading into the fourth quarter. Denver's now going to start the comeback. They finally get the passing game going here, got Marvin Mims catching a touchdown pass to cut the lead down to 28-20. With enough time left in the fourth, the Lions can't quite just go to the run, so they start putting it up a little bit. This is where Jared Goff makes a bad mistake. This is where I can represent the 49ers a little bit in this video. We're going to have Talanoa Hufanga jumping in front of a pass, getting the interception, and running it back in for a touchdown. 28-26, they will not hit the two-point conversion here. So it's going to be on the Denver defense, excellent all season, but unable to handle the balance of the Lions offense. They kill a lot of clock. David Montgomery will get his second short touchdown run of the game, putting them up 35-26. ending matters and giving the Detroit Lions the Super Bowl championship they probably should have had last season, at least in their minds, a year late. Just like the 1997 Denver Broncos. So your Super Bowl champions, the Detroit Lions. The Super Bowl MVP will be Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if a running back has ever won Super Bowl MVP without rushing for 100 yards. That's why I have him in this game, but I do have him receiving the ball for over 100 yards, getting him over 180 total for the game and 2 touchdowns. If that happens, he will be named the game's MVP. So, of course, like I said earlier, we didn't go too deep into the weeds on these predictions. At the end of the day, people are going to remember who picked who to win the playoffs, the division, wild card, all that stuff. Exact yards, exact records don't really mean that much. They're kind of off the cuff, kind of whim predictions of the moment. I certainly wouldn't bet my house or my car, nor would I ask any of you to bet your house or your car or even a used book on these predictions. But they're fun, I hope. I sometimes even get these right, but of course, more often than not, I'm wrong. But you did hear it here first if the Saints do happen to make it into the playoffs. We're going to be checking in on the NFL on a weekly basis going forward, probably a Tuesday video. I'll be putting up some community posts, and I'd like to hear everyone else's thoughts about what they saw, and I will be incorporating those into our videos. We want to get a little bit more interactive, especially as the season is ongoing. So be on the lookout for that. Any thoughts you have about this video, your predictions, thoughts about my predictions, all these can be cataloged and used in the future. So I want to thank you for joining us today. We're going to be getting in some other videos as well. Probably tomorrow we'll be releasing the next video in our disappointment series, the NFL's most disappointing teams. I believe we're up to number 22 at the moment. That will be getting us into the second third of that countdown. We will be ending that countdown before the Super Bowl. Some people have asked, and I want to reveal now, who are the teams in this upcoming season that could qualify to make the disappointments list. That would be the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, and the Baltimore Ravens would be the 4th team. For any of those teams to make it onto the disappointment list, their C-score this season has to be in the negatives. I am not anticipating that happening, but you never know. That's what makes a team a disappointment. Thank you for joining us today, guys. I want to keep this up for the season. We'll do some C-score power rankings within as well. We're not going to start those until later on. The numbers are crazy the first month of the season. Last year we started at week 5. Probably do something similar this season, maybe even push it back a week or two. So until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.